council of the 500 because they were elected by lot every year. This is why we are talking about the rule of the demos, because they changed positions so that in a period of 10, 20, 30 years, or more than that, if we have the 5th century, they all became part of this power. Of course, in modern times, you cannot have this, because you have millions of people. It's not 35,000. This is why it was possible to be actually a direct democracy, because the number of the citizens was not so big, enormous, as it is nowadays. I know that you may ask, what about the slaves? What about the women? They didn't have any right. And I will tell you that it's only in the 19th century that women started to vote in this world. So it would be an anachronism to require from the 5th century BC to have the right of vote. But there were other city-states, like Sparta, where women actually had many liberties. And they were not restricted to the oikos. Why? Because it's a different constitution. The oligarchic constitution did not require the rule of the law, the rule of the demos, meaning there was not necessary to have a group of citizens to administer everything. So this restriction itself brought other restrictions to the private house, oikos, as it said, of each citizen of the city. The slaves, again, we go back to a completely different time. The slaves were what they would get from the wars. So they were their gifts, let's say, from their war. What we know, though, from different texts from the classical period of Athens is that the Athenians actually regarded the slaves as part of their family. They really had loving relationships with them in the sense that they did not regard them as objects, as according to law it should be. And also the slaves would be the educators of the children, because most of them actually were educated and could perform that. It's not the idea of what we thought later because of the 18th and 19th century what a slave was. It's a completely different view of slavery in ancient Greece, but it's a completely different lecture. I'm not getting into that. So, to conclude here, we have the assembly, as it is called, ecclesia. And the assembly is the place where all the Athenian citizens, and who were Athenian citizens? After the middle of the 5th century, according to Pericles' law, because, as I said before, Clisthenes enlarged the group. All the foreigners, he made them citizens, the so-called new citizens, so that he could have the 10 tribes. Then Pericles had to put a limit there. So what he said that a citizen is only the one who has both his parents Athenian citizens, both the mother and the father. And this is where actually the woman gets an important position, social position, because of her someone can be Athenian or not. So there is another view of what the role of woman was in the 5th century in Athens. Then we have the Council of the 500, and this is called Bouli. And these are the people elected by lot from Clisthenes period and onwards, and they were elected 50 from each tribe, and they were making the agenda for the assembly. The Areopagus, that court which had enormous power, but actually the powers were reduced in 462 by Ephialtes. The Iliea is the first court. The assembly in the beginning was actually functioning as a court, and this is called Iliea. After that, they invented a very complicated way of actually getting the judges each day in the morning of the trial by lot, representatives from all the tribes, so that to prevent bribery. because Athenians knew each other. If I knew that you would be judged, I would give you money to vote for me. And this is why they made a very complicated system to prevent from bribery. And then we have the Heliastic courts. But in the beginning, Heliaea, the whole ecclesia, actually functions as a court as well. The strategii are the generals. These could be re-elected for many years. The archons are the 9 archons who actually have the main legal powers, and they can serve only for 1 year, and other magistrates who actually were responsible for trade, for taxes, for other problems in the marketplace, and so on. You see this, if you see now this picture here, the bottom are the people, the citizens, and the top the assembly. And this power is distributed to the juries, to the court, to the council, to the laws, to everything. And this is why we're talking again, I want to say this again, about the rule of the citizens, male, organized into 10 tribes. The ecclesia, the assembly, has the biggest power in the 5th century because they make all the decisions. They vote for everything. Everything has to pass from the assembly. A law, a war, a peace, who would be an official, an appeal, everything would go to the assembly. Here is the assembly, the Pnyx. If you go to Athens, you see where the Acropolis is. Over that side, you have the so-called Pnyx, where the assembly met. The bully, as you see here, actually prepared all the work for the assembly. They supervised the election of generals. They managed public boards. They tried magistrates accused of mismanagement, and they heard some criminal trials and cases involving the public interest. The Areopagus, court for homicide cases and arson cases, and could call magistrates to account for failure to perform illegal and irregular acts. The Iliea, no lawyers or cross-examination was allowed. Each plaintiff spoke separately. The jurors vote with a special brass ballot. Tried officials who could not give a good account of their work, and heard cases about religious impiety. This is a vote. This is a sample of the vote. And exactly, this is an ostrakon, a piece of stone with this hole actually. And this is exactly the same where they would write the names for people whom they wanted to be exiled, ostracized, if you have heard the word. Now, the archons were the polemarch, a military archon, the president of the state, the religious archon, and 6 thesmothete, who actually worked in the jury courts. Radicalization of the democracy. The most important thing actually which made democracy more popular to the people was the fact that all the magistrates were chosen by lot. Pericles reforms payment of jurors, chosen by lot. Law courts were now democratic. All 6,000 could be jurors. Juries could no longer be dominated by a faction. Members of archonship from top 3 classes chosen by lot. Middle class now more involved, archons and bully members paid. And that's the end.